Hey guys, hope you had a great Memorial Day. This is a follow-up video to my last one on TPA, Trade Promotion Authority, and on free trade in general, helping you guys understand what what the bill was about, what did Ted Cruz vote for, and what were the different criticisms about it. Today I'm going to go over the criticisms by Jeff Sessions, and then after that I'm going to go over the Democrats and what is their view on TPA. And because as you know, TPA expired in 2007 and they did not approve it when they controlled Congress. So with Jeff Sessions' criticisms, he says that it gives the president, too much power by removing the amendment process in exchange for oversight. So what Congress is trading, they're trading that they can propose amendments to his uh, agreements, and in exchange for only allowing a yes or no vote, because that takes a very long time. The debate, the committees, and all the stuff, and usually not a lot changes. Amendments rarely pass because the leadership controls the party. The establishment pretty much in both sides controls the members. There's not a lot of independent thought going on in Congress. So all the debating and all the talking and back and forth is just for show. It's just so a senator or congressman can say, "Hey, I believe this, I believe that," and in the end, uh, it gets passed anyway. So the amendment process, I think, is a bit overrated in the current makeup of our Congress, the Senate, because they're all in on it together, right? So oversight, I think, is even better because oversight does the same thing as the amendment process. In oversight, if you have a guy like Ted Cruz who says, "I'm not going to support anything that increases immigration into the United States, illegal immigration or whatever, without going through Congress," he can say, uh, "You guys." During the negotiations, he can tell the negotiators, "If you guys put that in the bill, I'm voting no." Jeff Sessions can do the same thing. Since he's in charge of oversight and he's involved in the negotiations, he can tell President Obama and the negotiators or the next president, "If you put that in the deal you make, I'm voting no." So it's the same thing as the amendment process. There really is no difference. And it's funny that Jeff Sessions actually is in agreement with Elizabeth Warren. She is in favor of the amendment process and not the oversight process. Why? I don't know. I think that the oversight process is the same thing as the amendment process. It's just one is faster than the other. The other one allows you to block. These are probably two senators that want to block trade deals more than they want to see trade deals get promoted or on a yes or no vote quicker. So if they are passed by Congress, they'll go quicker. If they're rejected by Congress, they'll get rejected quicker. They don't care about any of that. They just want to block all trade deals. And I believe that is the position of Jeff Sessions because he does say that trade deals are bad. He believes they lead to more deficits. He believes that they allow other countries to take advantage of us. Now, I think that is a false dichotomy, and he's blaming free trade for the problems of bad deals. Because a president negotiates a bad deal that gives a country the ability to manipulate currency, the ability to take U.S. jobs, and have a lot of advantages over the United States in these agreements, put very little restrictions on what they do with patents and copyrights. Just because a president negotiates that doesn't mean that free trade is bad, because that's not free trade. That's what the governments are doing. Foreign governments are taking advantage of us. Foreign currencies are being manipulated. That's not free trade. That's not a free market. They're controlling it. So a deal should promote free trade, promote a fair playing field, and not allow other countries to get away with things. That doesn't mean all trade is bad. That doesn't mean all trade leads to deficits. In fact, we have a trade surplus with countries in which there is an agreement because we've established the ground rules. And for the most part, I'm speaking in general terms here. I'm not talking about any specific deals. Like you can pinpoint NAFTA, you can pinpoint the Korean deal, and you can kind of say there's some problems there. But I'm saying in general, we have a surplus, $52 billion. In countries where we don't have agreements in place, where there are no rules, we have a $579 billion deficit. So it's in our interest to set some ground rules, and just because you think a lot of them are bad doesn't mean that free trade is bad. That means that we need to get these liberal presidents like Obama, like Clinton, like Bush. We got to get these guys out and put in the constitutions like Ted Cruz, who's going to fight for freedom, fight for free trade and for fairness. Now, he also says that TPA doesn't address currency manipulation. He wanted to put that into TPA, and that was one of the reasons he voted no. I think that's unrealistic. Currency manipulation is done on a case-by-case basis, and you take that up with the country who's doing the currency manipulation, like China. So when you go and you have a trade agreement with China, you make it clear to China in that trade deal that you make, we're not going to allow currency manipulation. Trying to put it in this deal, it has very little chance of passing, and I think it's just an excuse to vote no. I think it's inexcusable to require that this is in TPA, because the benefits of TPA and a free trade far outweigh, the negatives. And currency manipulation is something that can be addressed on its own merits. It can be debated separately from TPA. That's not what this is about, and nor should it be. We're not going to try to make one bill that's going to fix all our problems in the world. This bill is only a compromise between the president giving up transparency, allowing people to know what is in his negotiations and his agreements, giving that 60-day review period, allowing Congress to be involved in the negotiation process so Congress can tell them straight up what they're going to support, what the agenda should be. And it also gives faster approval, rejection, or approval. So that's all this deal is about. It's not about what the specifics are of each deal. That is something totally different, and that's something that's on us for who we send to Congress, because the Constitution can be in place, but it's not going to stop bad laws from being passed if they're constitutional. It's not going to stop bad policies from being passed if they're constitutional. That's who we send to Congress, and this is only establishing the ground rules for the way they work together and the transparency of the process. It has nothing to do with the actual specifics of each deal. Now, with Sessions' argument, he looks at this and he says, since we've had some bad deals done by Obama and previous presidents, we're going to just take our ball and go home. We're going to give up on all trade, and we're going to pretty much, he's supporting isolationism. And I think that's ridiculous. I think that's not conservative, and it's not in a position that a conservative should take. We can't stop all trade with all countries. That's going to hurt us. What we should fight for is better deals, but we shouldn't be fighting for stopping all trade in general. Those are Jeff Sessions' criticisms. I think that they're weak and unfounded. Now, one thing to point out is that this lasts for 6 years. This lasts up until 2021. And you look at these criticisms he's put forward, lowering the threshold, lowering the voting threshold. I forgot to mention that one. Rhinos approve what the president does anyway, and lowering the threshold will only allow a rhino who was going to vote yes anyway to vote no to save face when he's up for re-election, somebody like John McCain. Now, Mitch McConnell can vote yes no matter what because he's not up for re-election until 6 years. John McCain was up for re-election in 2016. He needs any opportunity to vote conservative, regardless of whether he would have voted yes if he had to. If he has the ability to vote no and that agenda get passed anyway, that's good for him, right? So lowering the threshold allows him to save face. It allows him to have a better voting record when in reality he supported all those bad deals and bad laws. That is a problem, yes, but in the end result, it doesn't really hurt us because President Obama's going to get what he wants anyway. The next president, if it's a Democrat like Hillary or a rhino like Jeb Bush, it doesn't hurt us that much because they're going to get what they want anyway. President Obama got Loretta Lynch approved. He got his debt ceiling raised. He got the budget he wanted. They funded his executive amnesty. We haven't opposed anything President Obama's done. We funded Obamacare also. I mean, so to think that lowering the threshold or raising the threshold is going to stop President Obama, it's not going to stop anything. The only thing it's going to stop is this. The next president, if he is a conservative, if he's a constitutionalist like Ted Cruz, if he wants to pass a fair deal, if he wants to remove a lot of the corruption that goes on in these deals, if he wants to pass something that promotes freedom, that promotes free trade and free markets, well then the Democrats, if the threshold is higher, are going to have the ability to block him. People like Elizabeth Warren, who have a problem with lowering the threshold because she says it specifically, and I'm going to post her video below. She says specifically, if the next president is a Republican, which she believes it is in this talk, she's not going to have the ability to block him if the threshold is lowered. that is where it benefits us, because we lose nothing if it's another rhino or if it's another liberal, but we gain a lot by lowering the threshold if it's a President Ted Cruz. He only needs to win over conservatives in Congress. He doesn't need to win over the rhinos. He doesn't need to win over the Democrats. If we leave the threshold high, Ted Cruz is going to be blocked and blocked and blocked and blocked and blocked. He really, really needs fast-track authority for his administration. President Obama's term is almost over. This is going to be more so for the next president. It will last through his full term unless it's blocked by Congress in the future. So we really need TPA to be in place for the next president, the next conservative president, in order for him to pass better deals and promote more free trade and bring more jobs to our country. Now, in 2007, it expired. The Democrats had control of Congress. This is a good example. Bush was the president. They didn't want him to have fast track. They didn't care about getting current transparency in exchange for fast track. So they said, nah, why pass TPA at all? We don't want transparency from you, and we don't want to give you fast track. So they didn't really care, and they blocked it. They didn't pass TPA. In 2009, when President Obama got elected, they still didn't pass TPA when they had supermajorities of both houses of Congress. Why? Because they don't need to make President Obama accountable. They don't need that 60-day review period. They don't need the transparency in the process. They're not going to block him. Whatever he gives to them, they're going to vote yes anyway. So they didn't need TPA. That's why. Now that that Republicans control Congress, we have a bargaining chip. Say, if you want fast track, if you want us to not block you, then you better give us transparency. You better give us oversight into the negotiations, and in exchange, we'll give you fast track. And Cruz is saying this benefits the next president more so than it does President Obama. And he is looking at a Republican winning and saying this benefits us more than it hurts us. And we really, really need this in a Republican administration. I hope this video helps you guys out. I hope that it clears it up. A lot of those criticisms that were being thrown at this. Also, you should keep in mind that the left has opposed this more than the conservatives. It's the Democrats who don't like TPA. It's Elizabeth Warren, Harry Reid, Bernie Sanders, and all the rest who oppose TPA because they oppose free trade. And they don't want to see more free trade. They want more government control, and they want more executive power. They don't care about transparency. TPA is good for us. It allows the next president to have fast track in exchange for transparency, which is a good thing because we don't care about transparency being forced on a Ted Cruz. He has nothing to hide. So this is a good thing for us, and we should be very supportive and thankful that it was passed. We got lucky here, guys. We really did. Now, TPP, that's a different story. That's a totally different story. I'm not very optimistic about the chances of us stopping TPP because we couldn't stop Obamacare. We couldn't stop executive amnesty. We couldn't stop Loretta Lynch. All of that was transparent. We knew what they were voting for, and they voted for it anyway. So TPA is not going to stop them. Nothing's going to stop them. They're going to pass whatever they want. So don't blame TPA for the corruption and for the capitulating of the surrender caucus of the Republican establishment. That's not TPA's fault. That's our fault for electing them as our senators and congressmen. I hope this helps, and I look forward to doing more videos. My next one is going to be on the 2008 stock market collapse, what caused it, what the government did about it, and whether the free market was to blame, whether regulations were to blame, or whether the corrupt bankers were to blame. So we're going to talk about that in my next video. It's a topic I'm very passionate about. I won't be posting it in my Ted Cruz group, so like my Facebook page if you're interested in seeing more of these videos. Follow that because that's where I talk about things that are not related to Senator Cruz. I appreciate all the support, guys, and I'm happy to do this to help you guys out, make these tough issues a little bit more understandable. So God bless, guys. Take it easy.